Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. Since it's the holiday season, I had to make myself a little holiday season themed video. So I read a bunch of holiday slash Christmas slash winter romances in the past few months. I was able to get to 13 books, 13 romances, including 2 novellas. So I'm just gonna be talking about all of them, all the ones that I read. There are some good ones, some not so good ones. I have Boo right behind me sleeping, looking all cute. But let's get into all the holiday romances that I read, starting off with Single and Ready to Jingle by Piper Rayne. When it comes to Christmas romances or holiday romances, you can always count on some cute and punny titles like this one. This book was my first time reading Piper Rayne and it ended up being okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was very average, which is kind of sad because it sounded really good to me when I read the blurb. It's got grumpy sunshine, it's brother's best friend, and the hero has a very nice British accent if you listen to the audio, which is what I did. So here Andrew and Kenzie have never met, even though he is her brother's best friend, but they do get set up on a blind date together. And on that date, Kenzie shows up in her elf costume from work because she literally went straight from work. She didn't have time to change and she didn't want to make Andrew wait too long. And instead of being understanding about this, Andrew is disgusted by her costume because he absolutely hates Christmas and he is pretty mean about it to her. So obviously this blind date does not go well and they never really expect to see each other again. But then Andrew, he ends up needing Kenzie's help. She is this sort of party planner and he needs someone to help him plan a party to impress his boss, and Kenzie only agrees to help plan this holiday party if Andrew will go to 3 holiday events with her so she can show him the magic of Christmas. The romance between them was okay. It's very simple. It's nothing all that exciting. Even with 2 amazing tropes like Grumpy Sunshine and Brother's Best Friend, it wasn't all that amazing. Unfortunately, Andrew was an extreme Grinch. Like, he was so mean in the beginning that it just left a bad taste in my mouth the entire time that I read. If I were Kenzie, I definitely would have made him grovel more, but she was just too good to him. So this one, sadly, not my favorite Christmas romance. I also read Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane. This is an FF romance. It's a sapphic romance, second chance romance. I liked it slightly more than the Piper Rayne one, which is why I'm giving it 3.5 stars, but it's not quite up there for me. I definitely didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the author's other book, her book from last year. The second chance romance is a little interesting because the main characters, they met on Christmas Eve a year ago and they literally met and fell in love in one night. Ellie and Jack met at this bookstore. Ellie was feeling really down and Jack pretty much saves the day, saves the night for her, and they have this really cute meet cute. They end up having a one-night stand, but then something happens the next morning that causes Ellie to leave and these two never contact each other again. It's a year later now and Ellie is struggling with money, but then her landlord Andrew comes to save the day by offering a marriage of convenience. If they marry for a year, he gets his inheritance and she gets $200,000. So obviously she says yes to this. She accepts this marriage of convenience, and when she goes to visit his family over the holidays with him, his sister is none other than Jack, the woman that she fell in love with last Christmas. My main struggle with this book was just that I had a hard time buying the romance here because Ellie and Jack literally fell in love in one night. Some authors can do instant love well, some can't, and this one was more on the latter end. So the setup here wasn't my favorite, but I did love how messy and dramatic things got, even though Jack has no idea that things are fake between Andrew and Ellie, and obviously things were gonna very clearly blow up because of this secret. Jack still ends up sleeping with her brother's fiance, so it's very, very messy. I did enjoy all the holiday vibes. All the secondary characters were great. I was actually more invested in Andrew and his romance than the actual romance in this book, because Andrew has a second chance romance himself with Jack's best friend. So I was more interested in the secondary romance than the primary romance, if that tells you anything. Still, I did have fun with this one. It's not, you know, the best romance that I've ever read, but it was really doing it for the Christmas vibes. It was just the whole miscommunication part that didn't quite work for me. The holiday romance that I was most excited to read was A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This one I had such high hopes for, and it did end up being such a fun holiday romance. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I love the premise of this book. It is hilarious because the heroine B, she is a porn star. She works in adult films, but she ends up being cast in this very clean Hallmark-like channel for a new Christmas movie. She has to go by a different name. She has to go by Bianca to make sure that no one knows her other job, and her co-star is a former crush of hers because he was in this boy band that she loved. The boy band is no more though, and Nolan does need help with his career and with money, which is why he takes on this Christmas romance movie role. The funny thing is that Nolan instantly recognizes who B is because he has definitely watched her adult videos and he is a huge fan. So these two actually have crushes on each other before they even meet. It's a really fun and sweet rom-com. Nolan is such a wholesome hero. I adored him. And luckily, even though this has a very cutesy cover, it is still Sierra Simone, so it does have some steam. It's not, you know, crazy hot like some of her other stuff, since it is still traditionally published, but it's still got some heat to it. So A Merry Little Meet Cute, if you haven't read it yet this holiday season, you definitely need to. I also read Love Light Farms by BK Borison because everyone that I know has read this book and loved this book. Thankfully, I did too. I thought it was great. I gave it 4 stars. I was so happy to see that it was a friends to lovers romance because I love this trope and it ended up being such an adorable read. My favorite kind of friends to lovers romance is definitely where the hero is the one who is in unrequited love with his best friend, and that's pretty much exactly the kind of friends to lovers this romance is. So the book takes place on a Christmas tree farm. Stella has just taken over Love Light Farms, which has been her dream, but she's struggling with it a lot. So she enters this contest from an influencer to hopefully get some publicity for the farm and also win the $100,000 cash prize at the end. The only thing is that she lied on her application for this contest. She said that she owned Love Light Farms with her boyfriend, who does not exist. So now Luca comes in to save the day. He becomes that boyfriend. He becomes her fake boyfriend when the influencer comes visit the farm, and they are so adorable together. You can clearly tell how much Luca loves Stella. It is so obvious to everyone except for Stella how Luca is completely head over heels in love with her. She's pretty much in denial about everything, which can get a little frustrating, but I thought it was great. I love to see Luca pine for her and do everything he could to make Stella realize her feelings, her real feelings for him. It was such an adorable read though. I love the whole fake dating aspect. The Christmas tree farm was really cute. We get to know the side characters really well, the people who work on the farm, the influencer who comes, and they end up getting their romances later on, so I'll definitely be reading those. But this one, it was a great winter holiday romance. I can definitely see why so many people love this one. My next holiday romance was Paradise by Judith McNaught. I had no idea this one was actually a holiday romance when I went into it. I just wanted to read another Judith McNaught book because I love her so much, but it totally counts as a holiday romance. It takes place over November and December. The heroine is a VP of this department store, one of the biggest department stores in the country, and for the holidays they go all decked out for it. It's still probably the least blatantly Christmassy Christmas romance on this list, but I'm still counting it. And also there is a scene towards the end where the main characters get snowed in a cabin, so that also counts. Anyway, this is a contemporary romance from Judith McNaught. She usually is more known for her historicals, but she does have a bunch of contemporary romances, and this is my first contemporary from her. It's a second chance romance, my favorite, and I really like this one. I give it 4 stars. We have Meredith and Matt, who have completely different upbringings, but they fell in love when they were really young. She comes from a wealthy, very strict family, and he's pretty much the boy from the wrong side of the tracks. They do fall in love and she gets pregnant, but unfortunately she loses the baby, and her father, who has never approved of Matt, he interferes a lot, which is why Meredith and Matt have a falling out and they don't see each other again for 11 years. Now in present day, Meredith is VP, but she's aiming for that CEO role, and Matt has become a very wealthy self-made man. He's known for his hostile company takeovers, and their reunion is very, very hostile. She's pissed that he left her after she lost the baby, and he's pissed because he thinks that she aborted their baby. So it gets very messy and angsty and full of tension, but I love the way that Judith McNaught writes her romances because they're always so full of fire. You can feel so much of the love and the hate here. And then when Matt finally finds out the truth, he is so determined to do everything he can to make Meredith his again. So obviously I loved him. It wasn't perfect though. It is a very thick book. It is so wordy, sometimes too wordy, but I still enjoy this one so much. The romance was wonderful. I loved the slight holiday vibes to this one. It's not, you know, in your face Christmas, but it still totally works for a holiday read. My next book was the weirdest holiday romance that I read. It is Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. The writing and the characters are so strange here. I couldn't really enjoy myself, so I gave this one 2 stars, maybe 2.5. So the heroine Betty, she is an influencer, and everyone thinks that she is living the good life because of what she's posting, but the thing is that they don't know is she is completely broke because her parents cut her off. And then over the holidays, she gets drunk one day and she plays the song All I Want for Christmas Is You, but she plays it backwards, which is how she's able to magically conjure up a holiday spirit named Hall. His full name is Hall E. Day, and his job as a holiday spirit is of course to show her the magic of Christmas and to make her less shallow. Hall ends up being her fake fiance when she goes back home to visit her family because she doesn't want them to know that she's struggling. So this is pretty much a fake dating romance with a holiday spirit hero, which is so unique, but just not executed in the best way because it was way over the top for me. It was silly and not in a good way. It wasn't all that funny, and every single character in this book was insane. Maybe if you like your romances more on the quirky side, you might like this one more, but I don't know, I couldn't do it. I also read You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janowski. This one was okay. I give it 3 stars. It's a fairly straightforward holiday Christmas romance, but this time it is MM. Matthew is another influencer main character. He is a bit of a spoiled brat, and he experiences consequences for the first time after messing up from buying this island. He's shipped off by his parents to this small wintry town, which is where he meets Hector, our other hero. These two get off on the wrong foot from the very beginning. They don't like each other very much, but they are forced to live together. They are forced to share a room and a bunk bed, and this is the first time that Matthew has ever had to share anything, so he's got a lot of growing up to do, a lot of humbling to do. He's living a completely different life now in this small town in the middle of nowhere, and he also takes it upon himself to plan this town party, this town event, and this is how he redeems himself. It's pretty much a classic Hallmark style romance with a, you know, rich, spoiled main character. It's nothing necessarily unique, but it is still fun, and it definitely will hit the spot if you're looking for like a Hallmarky Christmas romance. I also read Merry Inkmas by Talia Hibbert. This is one of her holiday novellas. It's quick and it's short and it's hot, and I gave it some 3 stars. It's fun while you're reading it, but then you kind of instantly forget it once you finish it up. It would make for a great like novella palette cleanser read. So this is another holiday romance. It takes place over Christmas, and the hero gets his own little Christmas miracle when he finally gets his chance at the woman that he's been crushing on for a while. Cash offers Bailey a job when she gets fired, so now they are working together at his tattoo shop, and in addition to giving her a job, he also offers her a place to stay for Christmas. So this guy is doing a lot for her, but I did struggle a bit with Cash just because he was very hot and cold with Bailey. It got pretty tiring to read after he would constantly push her away but then pull her back and then push her away. He is an obsessed hero because it is Talia Hibbert, but he's just a little dumb about it. If you like Talia Hibbert in general, I would still recommend you read this one because it is very much a Talia Hibbert romance. The hero is totally gone for the heroine and it just happens to be a Christmas romance. I read another holiday romance. This one is from Jessica Kane, my favorite. I think this might be her first or one of her first Christmas romances. She doesn't do that many, surprisingly, but this one is called Enticing the Scrooge, and it is Scrooge related. The hero is the grandson of Ebenezer Scrooge. He needs a bride to secure his inheritance, and then over the holidays he's about to find one, but then the heroine shows up as a beggar. She is an orphan beggar and she's trying to help the children that she's taking care of. Since it is Jessica Kane, if you have ever read a Jessica Kane novella, you will pretty much know how this goes. He is completely head over heels in love and in lust with the heroine as soon as he lays eyes on her. He pretty much claims her right there, but then he does mess up a little bit in thinking that she's a gold digger even though she's not. So he does have some making up to do for the holidays. It's not my favorite Jessica Kane novella, but it wasn't bad. I was just really excited to get a Christmas novella from Jessica Kane. And then I read the new Penny Reid book, which is Drama King. This is her Christmas romance. She has a series that are basically just Christmas romances. Last year it was Homecoming King, which I loved, and this time it's Drama King, and it's Cyrus's romance. He is our big Hollywood movie star, and he ends up falling for his new female bodyguard for the holidays. Although technically it starts a little bit earlier than like November, December. It's a very slow burn romance. It takes place over the course of several months, but the big thing does take place on Christmas Eve. So Cyrus is this big superhero movie star who needs some bodyguards because of how big he is, and Beth has become one of his new bodyguards, even though these two were on a blind date together literally the night before they're officially introduced. Cyrus wants something more, but Beth wants to keep things professional, which is why it's very, very slow burn. A majority of this book is basically just these two pining over each other, so if you like some good mutual pining, a lot of longing between your main characters, you'll definitely enjoy this one. It's not until the second half of the book that actually takes place during the holidays because Cyrus and Beth end up snowed in. They get stuck in a snowstorm together and they're forced to hunker down in this cabin on the side of the road. I give it 4 stars. It's very feel good, very sweet, and I do always love reading unique characters from Penny Reid. Again, it's very slow burn. It's got some, but not too much holiday / winter feels to it. So if you don't want in your face Christmas romances, this one would definitely work. My next holiday read was 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. This book was another one that was recommended a ton of times. I kept seeing it everywhere, so I ended up reading it and it was so good. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's definitely one of the best holiday romances that I've read this season. It is very much worth the hype. It's basically about a girl who gets revenge on her ex-boyfriend who she was with for 4 years and gave everything to. He dumped her because he didn't think that she would fit the role of the perfect wife, and Abby's plan of revenge is by dating and sleeping with her ex-boyfriend's boss. So she'll get her revenge when she shows up on the boss's arm at their company Christmas party and shove it in the ex's face. Abby's in with the boss with Damien is through a dating app. They match with each other and they go on a date together. She doesn't tell him that she knows him. She doesn't tell him that she dated one of his employees, but they do hit it off really well. Oh my god, the romance here is so hot. I loved it. Damien is perfection. He's got such a dirty mouth, lots of praise kink, lots of degradation, there's some breath play. It was a very dirty book and I loved it. So the steam was great and the romance was so sweet because of how adoring Damien is towards Abby, and she's never experienced anything like this before. Her ex was a piece of shit. He treated her horribly, abused her, and anytime Damien would do something nice for Abby, she's very confused by it, and I was feeling so bad for her. But I loved how she realized her worth with Damien. The romance is absolutely wonderful. If you love reading about a hero who loves to spoil his women, you will love Damien. The only thing that I wasn't a huge fan of was the beginning. It's why I can't give this one 5 stars, because the beginning was so boring to me. The setup of the whole revenge thing was so slow that I almost felt like skimming it. That's my only gripe with this book, but otherwise I did really love it. I also read another sapphic Christmas romance this season. This is Seasons of Love by Helena Greer. This book has one of the cutest covers ever. I love it, but unfortunately, unlike the Sierra Simone book, this one is definitely closed door. It has basically no steam. I was devastated. So this is another romance that's set on a Christmas tree farm, but this time the owners are actually Jewish. So it's an ironic Christmas tree farm here, which I thought was really funny. So in this romance, Miriam's great aunt has just passed away, leaving Miriam as part owner of this farm. Unfortunately, Miriam has become estranged after being away from her family, from Kerrigan's, from her small town for a very long time. Another part owner is the other heroine, the grumpy farm manager, Noelle. She's not at all happy that part of the farm was left to Miriam because Miriam was estranged from her great aunt and her family and had nothing to do with this farm for years. They do get off to a rough start, but Miriam does take the time and puts in the effort to help recover this tree farm. The romance is really sweet. I loved how Noelle went from resentful to reluctantly falling for Miriam. But again, there's no steam, unfortunately. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't a huge fan of the pacing of this book because there are a bunch of different time jumps and there were so many characters introduced in the beginning. I actually got confused about who was who. I still liked it though. I don't know why a lot of Christmas romances this year have to do with Christmas tree farms. I don't remember them ever being this big in books, but I do love it. But this one would be a good one, especially if you're looking for something less steamy. And then my final Christmas read of 2022 is a complete 180 from Seasons of Love because this one is very dirty and very filthy. It's a forbidden taboo romance and it's from Sierra Simone again. It's a very short novella called My Present This Year, and if you have ever watched that Folgers coffee commercial with the brother and sister where the brother comes back home for the holidays and there's some incestuous vibes between them. I grew up watching this commercial on TV, so I knew exactly what commercial Sierra Simone was talking about when she said that she wrote a romance based on this commercial. If you haven't seen it though, and you're very confused about a brother and sister incestuous commercial, just look it up and you'll completely understand. But Sierra Simone wrote a romance inspired by this commercial. Only she would do this, but she wrote a stepbrother and stepsister romance here. Obviously she's not gonna write them being actual brother and sister, but it's forbidden and taboo and it was filthy. I loved it. I give it 5 stars. It's a short and smutty winter novella. Nick and Nora met each other for the first time when she was 18 and he was in grad school, and their parents were about to get married. They're step siblings, but they definitely do not have sibling feelings for each other. Nick literally had to leave for the Peace Corps because he couldn't handle all his unbrotherly feelings for Nora, but now they're stuck together alone for the holidays because their parents are going on vacation, and these two finally get their chance to be together, and oh my god, the steam was incredible. It was exactly the smutty holiday read that I was looking for, and Sierra Simone just did a great job with it. Even though it's so short, it's still such a good romance. So I highly recommend this one. I believe you can get it for free as well through her newsletter, or she posted something on her Instagram probably. That's how I found it. But make sure you guys go download it because it's free, and go watch that Folgers commercial if you haven't already. But that is it for all the holiday romances that I read this season. I had a lot of fun binging all of these. I had my fill of them and now I'm done. But let me know if you've read any holiday romances this year, if you have any new favorites, any I should read for next year. As always, links to all the books that I mentioned will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!